lives could be changed the way mine did. From that night on, Louisa and I were inseparable. Louisa and I, along with Emma, Kate, and a few other girls from the team, spent every day together after that. Nelson, my other new friend, along with a few of his friends, accompanied us on our adventures. We did everything from playing soccer games with the girls, taking 5-hour-long walks around the Mirador, climbing trees that hung over a lake, to teaching the girls how to swim. We had long conversations about life, friends, and learning new words in English and Spanish. The rest of the things we did and talked about cannot be explained through words on paper. The feelings were too intense and the emotions were too deep to be put into words. Since the summer before my senior year, I've been looking for a Latin American country to live in for a year before I began college. I did not know where I wanted to live or what I wanted to do. Would I really be comfortable being away from home for a year? The night before we left, the streets of Catarina were filled with tears. Families, the church, and the girls did not want us to leave, and none of us wanted to leave. We eventually said all of our goodbyes to the families and the other local people, but our goodbyes had just begun. Emma, Kate, and I, and the other girls and boys with which we had become especially close with, were a mess. We stood in the streets, hugging, crying, and laughing for hours into the night. Before we said our last goodbyes, one of the girls named Anna handed me a note and told me to read it later. She gave it to me because she said she trusted me. Before I went to bed, I read the note. It explained how the little house on the hotel property belonged to her family. She was extremely worried that she would have nowhere to live when the hotel was built. She asked for help, and if I could do anything for her, she knew I would do my best. From that moment on, I knew where I would be living next year. While at the airport the next morning, getting ready to leave, Pastor Bayardo pulled me aside and told me he was giving me a blessing, and next year I could live with him, be part of his family, and be his daughter while in Nicaragua. He knew I had special gifts that I want to share, and best friends to whom I want to come back to. A plane ticket bought in January changed my life. I learned that I have everything I need, and I want more than I should have. Poor is not someone who has a big screen television in his or her house. And caring is something than making a person smile. Something deeper than making a person smile. By making friends with Louisa and leaving her with many of my things that I had brought with me, I made a difference in her life. By showing me her way of life, her town, and her heart, she changed mine. Next week, I will be moving to Catarina, Nicaragua for 8 months to teach English and participate in the Nicaragua project. I hope to give back some of what has been given to me. I hope to help bridge the communication gap as the Nicaragua project gets underway. I hope to be all that the community of Catarina needs me to be. I believe this is God's first major mission for me.
Matthew chapter 25 that we heard earlier says, "Whatever you do for the least of these who are my sisters and my brothers and your sisters and your brothers, you also do for me." And we trust that Kaley is responding to a call that God has placed on her life, and we offer to you the opportunity to pray for her, to keep up with her progress, to help support her and her family as they let her go to Nicaragua. That's not so easy. And we also hope that you will listen for the ways that God is calling you to respond. Not all of us can go to Nicaragua, but there are so many ways that each of us can respond to the opportunities that God places in our lives to serve. So my hope this Labor Day weekend for you is that you will listen for those moments, as Kaley did, where you decide, yes, God, I will go and I will serve the people that you have called me to serve. And they may be people right here in your own community, they may be people in your apartment building, they may be people in your neighborhood, they may be just sitting down and reading a story to a child, or if you're a child, maybe spending time with a senior citizen. There's so many opportunities, and I hope that you will listen for the ways ways that God is calling you into service and mission, because as you've heard from Kaley, the impact on all of us when we do that is so much greater than we can even imagine. So thank you for your support of Kaley, and keep listening to what God is calling you to do. Amen.
Amen.